Welcome friends. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss torsion. What is twisting moment, twisting couple? We will define it first and then we will solve few problems on torsion. Also we will derive the torsion equation and finally draw a torsional moment diagram and some problems on shafts in series and torsional deflection for the shafts in series. Let us start with the definition of torque or twisting moment or twisting couple. A couple of equal and opposite forces is said to be twisting couple when a plane of couple is parallel to the cross-sectional axis. That means if I will draw a figure and explain it, this is cross section and it is in this plane. Then this plane, if a couple is acting in this plane, let us say this is force P and this is another force of equal magnitude in opposite direction. Now we can call it as a torsion or a torque, or we can call it that this shaft is in torsion, and value of torque will be P into the diameter of this shaft, P into D, right? Or in other words, we can also call a couple of equal and opposite forces said to be in twisting couple when a plane of couple is perpendicular to the longitudinal axis. This is, let us say, longitudinal axis, and this plane is perpendicular to this longitudinal axis. In this plane, if these forces, opposite and equal forces, creating some torque, then we can say that this shaft is in torsion. Now consider a bar to be rigidly attached at one end and twisted at the other end by torque or twisting moment T, equivalent to force into distance between these two forces, which is applied perpendicular to the axis of bar here, which I have explained right now. As shown in figure, such a bar is said to be in torsion. We have discussed it. Now, torsional shearing stress. What is torsional shearing stress? For a solid or a hollow circular shaft subject to a twisting moment T is torsional shear. If it is subjected to a torsional moment T, the torsional shear stress tau at a distance, let us say Q, from the center of a shaft is represented as, I will show you by drawing a diagram. Just look at the screen here in this diagram, or I will separately draw it. Let us say this is the cross section. Then this will be the torsional shear stress diagram. Here maximum value T at this extreme portion, and at this extreme portion there will be T value. Here at the center, value of T will be 0. Alright. Now in this figure you can easily understand. You can able to see these straight lines, parallel straight lines, which are again parallel to the longitudinal axis, this longitudinal axis. Now if this shaft is subjected to torsion T, here you can say, then you can identify the lines are twisted like this. That means those were the parallel line became somewhat twisted like this. If this one is, let us say, previous line, now this become line. Yes, this much is the shear strain. That means shear deformation. But the planes which I am showing, or which can be considered as parallel planes to this cross section will be as it is. Before deriving a torsion equation, we consider that the planes are as it is planes. There is no, you can say, other deformation than the shear deformation. Okay, let us see the actual figure. Here you can see, actually these are straight lines. I will again draw. Let us look at this angle tau. This is actually a straight line like this, and this angle, let us say this angle is nothing but the gamma, not tau, gamma shear strain. And we consider that this as this deformation is very small as compared to this diameter or the complete shaft. So we consider that this is a plane. The deformation in the plane, this complete plane is parallel to the longitudinal axis. If I would like to draw here, you can consider like this. Let us say this is the plane. In this plane, this complete deformation is occurring, and as this is very small as compared to this perimeter, so we consider this plane is parallel to this longitudinal axis. These two are parallel, right? So it will help us to derive the torsion equation. Before that, deriving the torsion equation, let us understand few terminologies or representation of a torque. How torque is represented. These are few methods of representation of a torque. In the very first figure, you can see this arc with an arrow is the representation of torque. Mainly torque is represented by this way, or another way is like this: two forces, equal and opposite forces at extreme points, which are distance diameter d from each other, which are distance d apart from each other, away from each other, so that t will be equal to p into distance between them, perpendicular distance, smallest distance between the two forces. Again, third way of representing torque is like these two arrows. Now, the direction of whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise, we can find it by using right hand thumb rule. The direction of arrow, we should put our thumb in the direction of arrows, so the remaining fingers of a right hand will guide you to identify the clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Provided if you are putting your thumb in this direction, then you should consider yourself looking towards this side, not perpendicular to the screen. You should come and look from this side. If you are present here perpendicular to the screen, you should go and look from the view where the screen will be perpendicular to you, so that you will see a circular section of this shaft, and by keeping your thumb in the direction of the arrows, the remaining four fingers will give you the direction of torque, so that you can see in this figure here the torque is clockwise. Similarly, if you are looking from this side, here also you will get a torque in clockwise direction, and this torque in clockwise direction is considered as a positive. That means T is positive T. Now another way of representing torque is this, like this. The two circles are drawn on extreme corners of the shaft, and this, you can see here is no representation inside the circle. That means the direction of this P force is opposite to the upper force P, so that you can see that understand or consider that they are producing a couple of forces which are acting in opposite direction, and the symbol P represents they are equal in magnitude, so that they are creating a torque equal to 2 R into P, or P into 2R, as this distance between them is R plus R. Okay. Similarly here also the distance between these two forces is A plus A, so 2A into P, or P into 2A, that is force into distance. Okay, this straight line represents there is a shaft, and most of the cases shaft will be circular only. And finally here is a eccentric loading, that means away from the boundary of the shaft there is a loading which is also in opposite direction and equal in magnitude, P. So here itself, here also a torque will be represented as T is equal to P into 2A, right? Now look at this example 1, how to find the twisting moment diagram. Here you can see from any end, but in this question we have to find this torque at the left end. So instead of starting from left side, we will start from right side. Looking from this side, you can use the right hand thumb rule, and you will find that this torque is clockwise. So that's why we will consider it as a positive T. So we will draw a straight line of magnitude T, 70. Then moving from here to here, there is no any other torque, so we will just draw a straight line. After reaching here, there is again a torque T which is also in clockwise direction, so we will add 3T into 70, we will get 10T. Again there is no torque while going from right to left till this point. After reaching here, you will find there is anti-clockwise torque of magnitude 4T. So if it is in anti-clockwise direction, we will subtract this 4T from the 10T, so we will get 6T. So we will draw a line to reach vertical line to reach a magnitude of 6T. Then again going from right to left, there is no any other torque till this point, so this magnitude 6T will be as it is until this point. Again you will find there is a clockwise torque 2T, so we will add 6T with 2T and we will get 8T, and till the fixed end there is no any other torque, so we will extend this line as it is, so that the magnitude of torque present at this point will be equal to the magnitude of torque at this point, that is at support. So our value of X will be 80. Now we will derive the torsion equation. Few things I have already explained. we consider that this gamma, that is shear strain, is in the plane parallel to the longitudinal axis, while this angle theta is in a plane parallel to the cross section, that means perpendicular to the longitudinal axis. From by looking at this figure only, you can understand, even though we will reduce, let us say we are reducing the diameter like this, then this theta will not change. That means theta is independent of radius. But if I will reduce the length, let us say here up to here, I will use another color. If I cut from here, you will find that the value of theta, how can we find? Let us say here is another circle. You can find that the value of theta will reduce. This theta, let us say theta 1, and this is theta 2. You will find that theta 1 is less than theta 2. That means this theta is directly proportional to L. As theta L length increases, theta is increasing. So that this relation we will use in further derivation, in the same derivation on the further slide. Now you can even though understand that this gamma is independent of r, that is radius. Let us say if this is the small radius of considered radius, red color radius, then you can draw a line. Let us say I will draw a separate figure here. And here like this. This is the center. Now let us say these are the shear deformation. Okay, I will draw it separately. Here I will draw this diagram for the gamma. You can look at here, as the length is changing, gamma value is constant. Even though we will cut this portion, right side portion, gamma will be same. But if we reduce this diameter, I will create a new diameter. Let us say this is the smaller diameter. Now you can see this gamma value is reduced. Now this is gamma 1. Previous gamma was greater and new gamma 1 is less. That means gamma is directly proportional to R. Here I have written here. Both the things I have explained you, and how theta is directly proportional to L. Now by using these two relations, we will start deriving torsion equation. Before that, there are few assumptions. We will discuss that. First, complete this theta and gamma relation. You know that theta is the angle of twist measured in a plane parallel to cross section. I have already explained that we have considered theta in the plane which is perpendicular to the longitudinal axis, and parallel to the cross section. Okay, and similarly shear strain is measured in a plane parallel to the longitudinal axis. Here I have drawn this plane parallel to longitudinal axis. Now, before deriving or starting to derive the torsion equation, let us look at this assumption. We assume that the material is homogeneous and isotropic. The material of shaft is homogeneous and isotropic. After that, shaft is subjected to pure torsion. That means there is no any other axial load, bending load, or shear force, external shear force. All these are zero. And third, plane remains plane before and after twisting. This plane, which I have explained you, let us say this is the circular cross section is in a one plane. This plane, let us say this is the plane. Then another plane should be parallel and as it is. This should not deform like this. Let us say if our plane will become like this, then it is not accepted. Alright. Now, by using these two relations, theta directly proportional to L and gamma directly proportional to R, we will start deriving. This equation also says that gamma by R is constant. So, it will be constant at extreme values also. That means at extreme value, gamma will be gamma max, and the maximum value of the R is capital R. So, gamma max by capital R is also constant. From these two equations, we can say that gamma by R is equal to gamma max by capital R. So, we have written it like this. Gamma can be written as gamma max by capital R into small r. We have transferred this R here. From Hooke's law, you know that Hooke's law says stress is directly proportional to strain. But in our case, is there a normal stress over planes of a cross section? These are deforming. That means they are rotating at a centroidal axis or longitudinal axis. Yes, they are rotating like this because of torsion. Here will be lesser rotation and here will be larger rotation. That means there is a shear strain, shear deformation. Due to shear deformation, there is a shear strain. So, we will consider shear stress is directly proportional to shear strain. Here, tau shear stress, tau is directly proportional to gamma, that is shear strain. We have seen this gamma in our torsional diagram of a shaft like this. This was our shaft, isn't it? This deformation is nothing but the gamma shear strain, and this is the stress generated due to this deformation. Now tau, if we will remove this proportionality sign, we will get a tau equal to constant into gamma. Proportionality constant we will take as G. Then tau equal to G into gamma. From equation 1 and 2, what was the equation 1? Here, gamma is equal to gamma max by R into R. What we will get? Tau equal to G as it is. We will put value of gamma like this. Then we can say that tau by small r is equal to capital G into gamma max divided by capital R. Now consider small area dA in extreme plane at radial distance r as shown in figure. Extreme plane means if this is a shaft, then this extreme place, here it is fixed. If we start measuring from here, then the extreme distance will be capital F. Here, this plane. We are considering this plane and a small area dA in this plane, and you know that the force is causing shear deformation. That means we can say this force is shear force. Even though we are applied forces are normal to the tangential direction, that is normal to this circle or the cross section, which are producing a shear deformation. So dF, we can write, if T is a force into distance, then the torque on small area dA will be dA equal to dF by R, dF into R. Know that you can even consider F equal to P also. And this, in case of just for a derivation, we are considering this equation. So right now you forget this. You know that force into distance is nothing but the torque. For getting a value of torque on this complete cross-sectional area, we will integrate this equation on both sides. What we will get like this: integral dt is equal to integral df into r. Then we will put the value of force in terms of shear stress, because the deformation is shear deformation and stress produced inside the shaft is shear stress. So instead of writing like this, let us say this is area into normal stress. We will not write like this. We will consider this force is equal to area into shear stress. Okay, area into shear stress tau here. This is the force on complete area. Then force on smaller area dA will be like this. Alright. Using this same relation here, what we will get, integral after taking integration, T equal to integral dA into tau into R, R as it is. Then we will put the value for this tau from the equation number 2. We have already derived that tau is equal to G in capital G into R max upon capital R into small r. Then what will become the constant value? We will take outside the integral, the variable R and dA we will keep inside. Then we will get tau equal to capital G gamma max upon capital R integral of R square dA from here. You know that R square dA, integral of R square dA is nothing but the polar moment of inertia represented as J. We will put value of J instead of this value we will put J. So we will get T by tau is equal to capital G gamma max upon capital R. Now from equation 4 this, and from equation 3, what was equation 3? Look at here. There, tau by R is equal to G gamma max by R. So we will put the value of this G gamma max by R equal to tau by R. So what we will get, T by J is equal to tau by R. Now for circular cross section, you know that J value is constant, which is equal to pi by 32 into d to the power 4. This is constant value, as area is constant all over the length. That's why d is constant. So there is no as such change. So if T is also constant, that means only one torsional force or one torsional force or a forces which create only one torque is present, then we can say that these are constant values tau and T. That's why what we will get, if I will like this, T into R is equal to tau by J. You know that here we want tau this side. Tau is equal to J upon T into R, as we have considered this constant. So what we will get, if we will consider this as a proportionality constant, tau is directly proportional to R. Now we will find this same equation in terms of theta max. So for finding that, we will consider this diagram again. Here you can see that here A dash is can be represented in terms of R and theta. Similarly, this A dash can be represented in terms of gamma and length. So we'll write the equation. Here you can see theta max, that is angle, is equal to arc upon the radial distance capital R. A dash is the arc divided by R. So A dash can be written as R theta max. Similarly, A dash can be written as in terms of gamma max and L, like this. So we will get this left hand side A dash. So we will compare these two equations and find that gamma max by R can be written as theta max by L, because we want to find a value for this in terms of theta max. So here we have got this relation. So just we will put this value in the place of gamma max by R in equation 3. So what we will get, what was equation 3? It was like that: G gamma max by R. Right. Here we will put theta max by L. So what will our equation become? Tau by R equal to G into theta max by L. And this is nothing but, if we will write completely equation 3 and 6 together, is the torsion equation. So now we will discuss about the shafts in series and their deflection due to torsion, that is torsional deflection. Before that, I will like to say something about this. Here you can see theta max by L and theta by small l. Actually, maximum or the extreme value of theta is theta max, and the largest value of small l is capital. So that we can write in both this way. So look at the shafts in series. This is example. Let us consider this is a shaft having different diameters having same length, even though it doesn't look of a similar length, but it is given of same length and same G for all three diameters. Just all three shafts. Just the diameters are exactly half of each other. Let us see here diameter is 2D. It is then D. Again, the third one is half of the second, that is D by 2. First of all, we will draw a twisting moment diagram. You can see here only one torque is applied all over the length. So we will start from here. This is actually a resultant torque which will try to balance the applied torque. This is the applied torque. If we will start from this right hand, you can use the right hand thumb rule. You will find that this is in a clockwise direction, so that we will put positive sign, and the magnitude of this torque is T, capital T. And from starting from here to the last end, there is no any other torque, so the magnitude will remain as it is till the last end, and at this point it will become 0. You may confuse that here the torque is like this from the left end, and on the right end the opposite torque is there, so they will nullify each other. Or you can even start drawing torsion diagram from the right end. Here you can see there is a torque clockwise in the clockwise direction, so positive T is the magnitude, and up to the last end there is no any other torque present, so magnitude will remain as it is, positive T. And here the torque applied or the result of a torque, that means there will be let us say shear strain or shear deformation will be 0. That means here the torque becoming 0. Now we know the relation T by J is equal to G theta by L from the torsion equation. As G given as a constant and the length of all the sections, all three shafts is constant, so and T is the only torque present on the complete shafts in series, we can consider T, L and G are constant. So from this equation we can write all these things are T, L and J are constant. By considering these as a proportionality constants, we can write theta is inversely proportional to J. We know that T is only torque present, so T1, T2, T3 will be equal. From this equation we will write that total deformation, shear deformation or torsional deformation or torsional deflection will be equal to the deflection in first shaft plus in second shaft and the plus in torsional deflection in third shaft. So we will use this equation TL by GJ1 plus TL by GJ2 plus TL by GJ3. Taking constant outside or common things outside, and we will put the value for J1, J2, J3. You know that J is nothing but pi by 32 into D to the power 4. Actually this is 4, not 2. This should be 4. So we will get finally by putting the values of D1, D2, D3. You know that D1 is given as 2D and D2 as D and D3 as D by 2. So finally we will get this total deformation or total twist angle at the extreme plane or the cross section. And this was about the different types of torsional equations and examples. One more thing, if the shaft is hollow, then for that we should use formula for polar moment of inertia J equal to 16 T by pi dO cube in bracket 1 minus k to the power 4, where k is di by dO. From this equation, here you can see, from this equation we have previous one, where I can show you. We were finding the value of J. No? I will write here itself from this equation J. You know that pi by 32 actually d to the power 4. Let us say there are two diameters d or dO to the power 4 minus di to the power 4. If I will divide these two by dO, then what can I write? Like this, dO to the power 4, sorry, to dO to the power 4 in bracket 1 minus, let us put this value equal to k, like this, 1 minus k to the power 4. What it? And we will keep find this value like for the hollow shafts. In case if it is given that value of k is greater than 1, then we should consider k as equal to dO by di instead of di by dO. Okay, this was all about the torsion, and it is sufficient for the competitive exams like GATE and PSUs. Even though if you have doubts, you can write in comment box, and you can also see our previous videos on strength of material, for which I have prepared separate videos for SFD, BMD, then pressure vessel, and other important topics for competitive exams. Thank you.